What's going on? Welcome back to Content Meta. If you are new to the channel and you subscribe to our content, please make it official. Hit that sub button, leave a like, and hit the notification bell. So here we are. First episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 7 is officially underway. At one point, however, it was actually up in the air whether or not ABC would renew the show. I'm sure a few die-hard fans must have been thinking,
when it gets here, it'll be a whole new deal. Am I right? Dad jokes. It's a glitch. Sorry.
But yeah, this episode was a respectable addition to the franchise, one that began to retrace those threads left dangling from the last season. But more on that in a few moments. This season though, we learned that Coulson is brought back to us by way of a life model decoy, or LMD for short, and has to figure out his place in the team while being totally self-aware that he is in fact artificial. Let's be honest though, the writers had to figure out some kind of way to bring Clark Gregg back for the finale season. I'm not mad though. I mean, it's been established before he always comes back, and plus, where would the franchise be without him? Now here's something worth a detailed explanation of, which is S.H.I.E.L.D's version of time jumping or time manipulation. This is a fundamentally different take from the Professor Hulk's version in the endgame.
Imagine time as a stream, right? And we were sticks that were thrown into it. The water, it moves us, it moves around us.
But it ends up in the same place.
Right. Now too many sticks thrown in and that'll create what's called a dam, and that'll change the direction of the water forever, and that's bad. So as long as we can avoid that, we should be able to splash around a little bit and we're all good.
Now compare that logic with this one.
First of all, that's horrible. Time doesn't work that way. Changing the past doesn't change the future. I don't know why everyone believes that, but that isn't true. Think about it. If you travel to the past, that past becomes your future. And your former present becomes the past, which can't now be changed by your new future.
Exactly.
While Banner's rationality may have confused a few people in the movie theaters, this is how I always make sense of it. Let's say for the sake of argument that I were to go back into the past and completely change my grandmother's life in some major way. That event in that present is no different than any other event in that present, meaning you can't quote-unquote change the past based on that present event becoming a natural event that becomes a past event with a natural future. In other words, or long story short, what you're doing right now is done. You're not changing anything per se in regards to future time. However, if you want to discuss multiple realities and alternative outcomes that branch off and create multiverses, that's a different subject. One last point, even though Deke may not subscribe to the butterfly effect theory, if what happens after this very conversation is a subtle hint, we could be due for Back to the Future level consequences. True to S.H.I.E.L.D. continuity, Patton Oswalt is again in charge of another safe house, albeit in the past, and reprises his role as, yes, the fifth Koenig, this version being Ernest, who we later learn has provided refuge for one of his men that would later become the father of someone very powerful in not just the show, but the MCU as a whole. Elena Rodriguez, or Yoyo, is told by Gemma that the infection from the Shrike has finally dissolved into her bloodstream. Still, there is one more surprise in store. She is gifted with a new pair of cybernetic arms, previously made by Fitz, who is still missing, specifically tailored to handle the velocity of her super speed. We've seen Yoyo fall into some dark places ever since season 5, and it's nice to see her regain some level of normalcy. The one thing I would ask more of from her character or from the showrunners is to see more of her super speed, which I feel like is very underused. We are finally introduced to a character whose origin once lay shrouded in mystery, that being none other than the father of Gideon Malik, William Malik, who, unbeknownst to the team, is the primary target to be eliminated or the thread to be unraveled. Now, it is said that William's father, Gideon's grandfather, was a wealthy man, until which point he killed himself due to the Great Depression, perhaps leaving William to fend for himself in the process. But now we do know exactly how the Malik family became such a big player in the global scale of things. It was due to their involvement in the development of the super soldier serum. One thing that has made the show so watchable to devoted MCU fans is the level of attention to detail to comic book canon and the tie-ins to the cinematic universe. It is so very interconnected while still being so vast. It is said that those tie-ins will be more frequent in this season, and I hope so. It's the primary element which I think makes the show so essential to watch. Lastly, in Fitz's absence, we've seen Gemma really step up to the plate to help complete missions, and we've seen her arc come a long way from where she first started. She is relentless when her focus is directed in finding Fitz, so it will be interesting to see how it all plays out, especially with May going rogue as she is, or whatever she's doing, playing Spider-Man or something. I don't quite know, but we'll be back next week with episode 2 of season 7. So as always, until then, see you then.